Okay, so let me see whether I'm online. Let me just double check. We'll begin in 1 minute. 1 minute. Right now it's 8:59. So I am going to start at 9 o'clock. So if you're watching live, you can help me out by letting me know where you're hanging out from. If you're watching replay, please do that too. I appreciate a lot. It is a weekly community service. Okay, and tonight what we are going to talk about is accountability. Okay, so we will start at 9 p.m. sharp. Okay, so if you have just joined us, let me know where you're hanging out from. Let me know so that I can acknowledge you. And thank you for those who are dropping by as usual. And I appreciate a lot. Okay, so now clock, let's start. So my target for tonight, 1 hour. I don't foresee it will be a long session, by the way. So Wilson is here. You never walk alone. Thank you for watching. And we have been talking about this for 3 weeks already in terms of coaching consulting. So just for those who missed the Facebook Live, I just want to highlight again that the Facebook Live session is going to be here until Tuesday at 12 p.m. Singapore Malaysian time. So usually people who miss the live session will have 36 hours to watch. What happened is that I've got one person who was watching the Facebook Live last week at 11:50. Unfortunately, based on the rule, I have to take down the Facebook Live. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to inculcate a habit for people to be here watching live on a regular and consistent basis. So understand that if you happen to watch this Facebook Live replay on Tuesday, 10 minutes prior to 12 p.m., yep, the chances of the Facebook Live being taken down will be absolute, not even high, you'll be absolute. Okay, so we talk about coaching, we talk about consulting work. So I'm very glad that over the last few 2 weeks, more and more people are aware of coaching. More and more people are aware of the differences between coaching and consulting. And once again, for those who missed the Facebook Live, allow me to just bring some to just give you some recap. So hi Elsa, welcome. And hi, Maria. Yep, you wake up. Good morning to you. 6 a.m. Sunday in Scottsdale. Awesome. Also, not Scottsdale. I mean Arizona. Okay. And coaching. What happened about coaching? Coaching is basically about giving the awareness because we talk about the blind spot that your player or your client had, and as a result, it is important for you as a coach to identify the blind spot and help your clients, your players to see it, and therefore you create choices, and therefore your players, I like to call my clients the players because how many of you realize that there are a few ways to play the game? So I want my clients to play to win. So that's why I call them players. Okay. So hi, good morning, Maria, and thank you for watching from United States. Okay, so we talk about coaching. We talk about identify a blind spot in the coaching. Typically, you will be the one asking more questions, and you are not the one talking and explaining stuff because by doing this, you are a consultant. So we have been talking about this for actually like this. I repeated myself 3 times already, as you can see. Hello, Eugene. Hi. I'll be answering your question soon, so just hang on for a second. Don't worry, I got your question down. Okay, so then on the other hand, we talk about consultant. Consultant meaning that you have certain what we call subject matter expertise, and your clients come to you because they want a solution quick, fast, proven from you. So all you do is to provide an answer, get paid. That is a consultant. Okay, so in my world, I do not mix between coaching and consulting simply because uh, people come to me for different purposes. So when people come to me for coaching, my identity is a coach. When people come to me as a consultant, my identity is a consultant. So I am very, very conscious about my identity whenever I have any engagement. Oh, hi, Esther. Good morning to you. Okay. So today, I want to actually address this issue on accountability. And I would like to acknowledge Deborah. I don't know whether Deborah will be dropping by later. And Deborah is the one who inspired me to talk about accountability today. Okay, so Deborah is one of our Banco trainers, and she gave me this idea to talk about accountability today. Okay, so Jun Xian and Vincent, hi. Good, thank you. So there is a difference between accountability coaching and coaching accountability. So let me use my iPad to explain this, and then we'll have a discussion on that. Okay, so allow me to share my screen. Just hang on for a second. Let me share my screen. Okay, so in the 3, 2, 1, we are going to do a sharing of the screen. There you go. Okay, so I should see my iPad. Okay, my little brother, I call it. And therefore, let's see. I'm actually watching my screen. Okay, I see my iPad already. Good. Awesome. So number one, there's a difference between accountability. Hello, Vincent. Hey, thank you for dropping by. Accountability, there's a difference between accountability coaching, okay, and two, coaching, whereby there's an accountability element, okay? So I'm going to first of all talk about the difference between these two, because how many of you realize that although not accountancy, why do they put accountancy? I mean accountability, mind my word. Too much thinking about accountancy. So there's a difference between accountability coaching versus the accountability element in coaching. Okay, so the reason why I can do this is I actually have both types of coaching arrangements with my clients. So I'm very flexible enough to determine what sorts of arrangement I will have based on what the client wants. So let me give you a probable scenario for accountability coaching. And it is pretty good money, think about it, because there are clients who want someone to kick their ass. So this is a very viable model. How many of you would love to earn, say, $500, $1,000 a month simply by spending 10 minutes of your time? So it's something that I developed 2 years ago. And this is a pretty good model to work on, especially for those who are worried about your coaching skill and you want to focus on making a little bit money, knowing and have a taste of the accountability world. So this is how it works. Okay. So the whole idea is that you work with your coachee. Okay. So first of all, there must be a contract between coach and coachee. Okay. So for you as a coach, your job is not so much about identifying the blind spot. This is a situation whereby the coachee knows roughly what he or she wants. So the premises number one for accountability coaching is that the coachee somehow knows very, very clearly like, like what he or she wants. And it's only because of that this accountability coaching will work. Okay, so that is a very important premises for you to take note. And this is actually, okay, Deborah is here. So let us thank Deborah for giving me this uh, topic for today. And as I promised last week, I'm delivering this topic. So right now I'm talking about accountability coaching. How does it work? Okay, so number one, the premises is the coachee knows. Good morning to you. So I've got a few Banco trainers watching me today. Very interesting, and thank you for your support. And I'll acknowledge others. Let me finish this part first, or else I will drag on to 10 p.m. my time. So what you do, you just help your coachee to formulate something called a plan. So this plan, you can call it action plan. I personally love to call this accountability plan because it is accountability coaching. Okay, so what do you do? So all you need to do is to divide this plan into weekly action. Not you divide, you got your coachee divide. Okay, so we can say week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, let's say 4 weeks a month. Okay, so what happens is that you let your client, your coachee knows, okay, I'm going to check on you each and every week. Okay, so then every week I'll come to you and I'll do something called check your spreadsheet. Some of the people are very afraid of me because I missed the spreadsheet. Okay, so what does it mean? So all I want you to say as a coachee is, let's say week one, I have 3 tasks that I have to do in order to move forward to hit or fulfill my goal. So I have A, I have B, I have C, 3 tasks. And all you do as a result is, okay, I am going to watch you to finish A, B, C. Okay, so what happened? If you have done it, nothing happened. Celebrate together because that's what accountability is about. And by the way, what's accountability? Accountability is make sure that you do the task as what you say with proper governance. I mean, there are obviously many different definitions. I keep it simple. I'm just looking at something called I do what I say I will do instead of I say what I will do. Difference, huh? I do what I say I will do, very similar to commitment. But commitment can be commitment to myself. But here, I'm willing to do more for other people than doing it for me. If you have been to some personal development courses, you may likely hear this phrase. I'm willing to do more for other people than to myself, which means that commitment to other people. In this case, your coach. Okay. So coming back as a coach, all you need to do is to check whether the player has completed ABC in week one. And all you are asking your player to do is, I don't give a shit of whether you complete this or not. If not, what is the reason? Because at the end of the day, if it is a yes, it is expected. Okay. Number two, if it ends up as a no, there must be something called a financial penalty. And I love to use financial penalty. Why? Because financial penalty is very painful. Like I said 2 weeks ago, Robert Kiyosaki, in any workshop, when people do not behave, Kiyosaki actually will find people. Okay. All right, Stephanie, thank you for checking out again. So I love the financial penalty part. Okay. So every week, as long as the player give me yes, 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 done. And therefore it is a good week. Then I would just say spreadsheet check and clear. Move on to week number 2. So then the cycle repeats. Whether the player has said, okay, this week I want to do these 3. Yes, 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 done. Good. Spreadsheet check and clear. Move on to week number 3. Now, this is why for you to check a spreadsheet on accountability coaching, at least this is what I do. How many spreadsheets do I check every week? Right now, it's about 20 spreadsheets. Like in a period of 1 to 2 hours every Monday, I have to check the spreadsheets for my players. Okay, so week 3, okay, week 3, the player says, I want to do 1, 2, 3. And then at the end of week 3, where the player, yes, yes, yes. So if the player has been doing what he is saying he will do, then awesome. There's no penalty. Okay, so week 4, all the way. Okay, now at the end of the month, what do you do? So this is what I offer to people who are a little bit more can afford me a bit more. What happens is that I will offer something called a debrief session. So this is what I call debrief. So I'm actually giving you my model, by the way, which is how you can earn $500 to $1,000 a month for 10 minutes of work a week. This is how awesome the model is. Okay, I would share with you why in some cases it doesn't work. So there are always a pros and a cons. So I will offer a debrief session with the player, and then I'll just ask a few questions, like typical coaching arrangement, whereby the you as a coach will ask a couple of questions. What your objective is, however, is to help your players to identify in month number 2 the goals, or what we call a clearer action plan. Because your job is to help your player to identify blind spot. This is still your identity as a coach. That one, no matter what, you won't change. However, through the debrief session, what you can get from your player is further commitment and further clarification of what is going to happen as action plan in month number 2. So all you need to do basically is just to repeat the cycle for 6 months. So in my case, it is a 12-month program. And then at the end of 12 months, then I offer something called, do you want to renew? So currently I do have clients who renew this because they are very self-motivated. Remember, I said many times, the word motivation comes from whether you are willing to do it by yourself. You are not being pushed by other people. So when you need to be pushed by other people, that's not motivation. Motivation is totally different things. Okay. So motivation, to my definition, is something that is intrinsic, that is coming from within. Okay. So when you have a player who is very motivated, he or she just needs someone to kick the ass, making sure that the work is done. This is a very awesome program. So then you offer renewal, and then you can repeat the cycle again, and again. So $500 a month, or in some cases $1,000 a month. I'm talking about Sing dollars, not Malaysian ringgit. So you think about Malaysian ringgit, it is 1,500 to 3,000 ringgit a month for just merely 10 minutes of work a week to check the spreadsheet. And most importantly, maybe you may want to spend 1 hour for a month end debrief session. How many of you can do that? How many of you can do that? Like, see yourself that you can do this, right? So this is something that I created 2 years ago, and this is my accountability coaching model. It doesn't require a lot of work on my part. That is why I said at the beginning, I said that the difference between accountability coaching versus accountability element in coaching. So the first thing I see is the difference between two. You need to understand the difference between these two. Okay, so far so good. If you have any question, drop a comment. If I see your question, I will answer. So meanwhile, let me acknowledge some of you. Wei Chen is here. Sing Chen is actually, I'm not sure whether you're still watching. If you are, Sing Chen is actually my university mate many years ago. How are you, sir? Johan is from Sweden. Good afternoon, sir. And then Gary is here. Okay, good. Ada is here. Thank you. Fanu is here. Good. Awesome. Okay. And Perry Curtis. Hi. Nice to meet you. Lotte is actually one of our European player. And thank you for watching. And then let me see. Junsen is here. Okay. Winnie is here. Okay, good. Awesome. Graham is here. Okay. If you are still watching, allow me to acknowledge you and thank you for dropping by. So far, so good. Accountability coaching. How many of you foresee yourself that you can do this? You can just comment on the chat and let me know. And this is something that I believe that is no-brainer. You need a self-motivated client to be able to do the shit. Do this work. And then all you need to do is just to hold the person accountable. And then you may ask, why would someone who is motivated would be willing to be under this arrangement? If that is a question, let me answer. Because number one, while you're working with self-motivated, self-initiated players, understand something. I have already said it many, many times in this Facebook Live. I only know one person in Singapore by the name of Mr. Adam Khoo, who can be self-motivated, can be actually do it by himself. If you are not Adam Khoo's type of caliber, in other words, make the first $1 million at the age of 26 years old, you need somebody to kick your ass. And therefore, this is why this program is available for someone who wants. Now, I'm not selling you this program, by the way. I don't want to check any spreadsheet. I have enough spreadsheet to check. All I'm asking you to do is to consider whether this can be implemented in your case. You find someone who is self-motivated, self-driven, wants somebody to hold accountable, good, then that's it. Let me then explain the accountability element in coaching, which is a totally different thing, and which is the reason why tonight this is my focus actually. So let me ask you the quick question. In a coaching arrangement, what are you expecting actually? Okay, so in a coaching arrangement, let me open up another page because I have used up this page already. Okay, so let me just switch to another page. Okay, I've got this page. Okay, good. For coaching arrangement, remember I said last week, if you remember what I said last week, for those who are here last week, remember my 4 pillars. Okay, so Jack, what are the 4 pillars? We have a problem here because the Facebook Live have been taken down. So remember my Facebook Live, will only be here until Tuesday at 12 p.m. So if you're watching replay, understand that you have up to Tuesday 12 p.m. to watch, or else that will be taking time. What are the 4 pillars? I hope that Eugene may be able to type if he's willing to type, because Eugene was here last week. James is not here tonight. I hope that James is around. If James is here, then James may be able to help you guys. Okay? So I talk about the point A and point B concept many occasions. So what is your job again? So you as a coach, you see that this is not something else other than a bottle. And then what happens is that you see that there is a label here, and label is called ABC. Okay? And then you have this guy, your client, inside. The person inside can't see the jar. Okay, so all you need to do is say, hey, client, I'm your coach. I'm able to help you understand the label because I'm watching outside the jar. And therefore, I can tell you that it's not DEF, it's actually ABC. So now the blind spot BS stands for blind spot is being eliminated. Done. So that is the essence of coaching. Identify the blind spot. So of course, you are not going to tell the player, okay, your label is ABC. I mean, in life, how many of you realize that life is not as simple as that? Okay. So sometimes it's like me having trouble of having a challenge of seeing something that is so obvious. I need someone who is outside the jar to point out to me. Okay. So that is what I call a coaching arrangement. The next thing, okay, thank you, Stephanie, is typing the 4 pillars. Okay, so thank you. Let's give Stephanie a hand, send her some love. Okay, and thank you, Stephanie, for typing this. Okay, see, I have people who are able to recoup or revise the notes for me, or to repeat the notes for me. Okay, so coaching arrangement. So in the process of identifying the blind spot, the coach, remember, I'm doing some revision here, so that the coach basically asks question. Okay, this is number one. And number two, this is the ear. So this is the ear to listen with intent and ask good question. So these are the two premises of what a coach is supposed to have. Okay, it's never answering question. It's never about explaining certain things, because the coach is not a consultant. You may hear me repeat this again and again and again, because I still hear some people who claim themselves as coaches end up becoming a consultant. So please, coaches and consultants are two different ballgames. Now, here's the one thing, especially in the WFO, well-formed outcome element, because part of the well-formed outcome requires you to work with the player to identify the point B. We talked about this in last week's Facebook Live, by the way. So in this process, what happens is that because it is future oriented, okay, is future oriented, because point B is future. Does that make sense? Now, so that will involve something called the direction. There's something involved what we call the goals. There will be something that involve some called clarity. So direction, goals, clarity, whichever you like. Just imagine it is like the GPS. You've got to know where you are going to. You've got to know this is point B. Of course, we also have this thing called point A. You must know where you are right now. Once you know where you are at right now, where you want to go, then the coaching, from a coaching perspective, the coach and the coachee are then able to work out something to help the coachee move to the direction that the coachee wants to go. There's no promise that point B is the right direction, because nobody know exactly what's going to happen in future. I just happened to have one client who told me yesterday, 2 months ago, she said that I want to be seconded to another country because she did not want to stay in Singapore to work in Singapore. So I said, okay, good. If that's the case, then what you do, you come up with some plan, okay, planning to move to the other country for employment purposes. And just happened yesterday, she told me, you know what, because of the COVID-19, the further lockdown, this desire of moving to another place to work has lowered down. Not slow down, it's lower down. The desire has gone down. So I said, in such a case, okay, so what do you then do? And then she said, well, I'm still searching. I said, good. This is always a good question to ask. Keep on searching until you find something that you have the motivation, the desire to do it. Okay? So it's in her case, therefore, point B is not really the point B. She wants to go to the other country in 2021, but that plan is no longer valid. So that's the reason why I said many times, while it is a good assignment arrangement to look at point B, in my experience, point B coaching may not give the coachee the direct relevance. That's why I still love the point A coaching. Okay, so this is another Facebook Live that I cover a month ago, by the way. Okay, so let's talk about the accountability deck. Okay, so this is what happened. There are a few elements in coaching which we need to understand. The first element is what we call motivation. You want to work with someone who is motivated. Okay, I won't say self-motivated or motivated. You need to work, you want someone to be motivated. And how would someone be motivated in the first place? Okay, part of what you do as a result is you've got to help the person to see, hear, or feel the desire. What is the desire for the person to move forward? Okay, regardless of whether it's see, hear, feel, doesn't matter to me. There must be a desire to move forward. Okay, so where does this desire come from? As far as motivation is concerned, my belief, what I learned, what I've read, is always intrinsic. How do you know? Well, I've got this burning flame in my heart that I really, really want to do this. And as a result, that creates the energy, that creates the commitment. And commitment, therefore, leads to passion, to ignite the flame further. And therefore, the person move forward. Okay? So that is what we call the motivation part. That is the first element. The second element in this coaching arrangement is be willing or be ready for changing direction, which means that just now I said, like in this girl's case, she said that she wanted to be seconded to another country for work purposes, and just happened in 2 months' time, she has changed her plan. So, okay, in such a case, I still have to work with her. I can't say, oh, because you change your plan, I can't work with you. Sorry, I can't. So I need to be flexible enough to help her see, hear, and feel, or for her to be flexible, adopt a new direction or new destination. Okay, so I believe in terms of coaching arrangement, you always have to have someone who is motivated, and something can happen along the way, and therefore we need to be flexible. Okay, so why is this accountability coming from? Okay, so in a coaching session, there will be an outcome for each coaching session. There must be an outcome. So this is kind of like I'm answering Eugene's question as well. So Eugene, pay attention to this. Every single session, you can just check in by saying that, how are you, player? And the player say, awesome. Okay. And then you say, oh, that's good. I love that. I mean, you don't waste time talking about these, and then you spend the 10 minutes for a 1 hour session just to chat with each other, say hello to each other. Like building rapport is one thing, but I will not spend 10 minutes to build a rapport. Okay, so arrange for my types of coaching arrangement. Each session you always start with the outcome, and the outcome is not what you say you want. You see, understand, as a coach, you have your outcome, of course, but the outcome has to come from the coachee. You want to listen and pay attention to what the coachee wants from this session, because whose outcome is more important? Is that you as a coach, your outcome more important, or is that the coachee's outcome more important? Okay, so you know the answer. So yes, on one hand, I have my expectation, my outcome. On the other hand, I will ask, so what is the outcome in this session? And your coachee may surprise you. Your coachee may say something and you do not want, or actually you may not expect. Like just happened at 5 p.m. I have one coaching session with someone in Belgium. I thought that this coaching session I'll be talking about team. And who knows that we spent about 20 minutes just to talk about the FEAR, the fear. Like we spent 20 minutes of an hour talking about how he overcame fear, which is not my outcome. My outcome for the session is talking about team, totally different story. And if I say, hey, you know what, player, focus on the outcome of focus on my outcome in this session. This session is meant to talk about team, and you're talking about fear. That is totally irrelevant. No, you don't do that. Because when you do that, you are shortchanging your coachee's experience. You are not allowing your coachee to have further realization. That's why number one, your arrangement has to be focusing on his or her outcome, not so much about you. Okay, that's number one. Number two, okay, this is important for the session. Once you know the outcome from your player's perspective, then you start asking yourself this question. I want you to be very flexible without saying out loud. Start asking the question, what is your game plan? And everything in my mind is always about plan. I mean, some of you know I'm a planner. So I ask myself the question, what is the game plan for the player in order to help the player achieve the maximum in this session? Because understand something, it requires two hands to clap. All successful coaching sessions requires two hands to clap. Okay, so thank you, Junxian. What you say means something. What they say means everything. Awesome. Junxian is actually one of my mentees, and he begins to be able to read my mind, and that is a good sign. Okay, so I always like to use this metaphor. That is, I am doing this thing called waving my hand. Okay, I don't know whether they can see this. It's on this very small screen. On the other hand, your coachee is actually doing the waving as well. So what we say is that it takes two hands to clap, to not clap, I mean to clap. What do I mean by that? It means that both hands must come together and clap. However, what happens is that if you are the one moving your hand and your coachee doesn't want, nothing will happen. On the other side of the coin, if your coachee wants to do something, you don't agree, then nothing will happen. So when we talk about the game plan is how two hands can come together to create some impact in this session. So think of a game plan as clapping hands. Both sides must put in the effort. So I will give my part by listening to what the player said about the expected outcome. What can I do in order to help him or her draw some lessons to create some more awareness or identify some blind spot? Okay, so this is what we call the game plan. Idea is to make full use of the session so that at the end, what is my outcome for the player? Very simple. To put the person to a more, okay, this is the key for all coaching, is to put that player to a place which is more positive. There's no good or bad. We don't say good or bad. We always talk about positive and empowering space. Before the session, this is the point A. Point B, which is here, should be more positive for this player and more empowering for this player. So your outcome, your game plan has to address this particular issue. The question is that how do you do that? So let's continue the story. Let's continue the discussion. Okay, so number one, there's no point of helping the player to identify point B in the session, like the point B of the session perhaps would be, I would like to see how I can grow my clients by getting 300 leads. Okay, so in this session, I want to identify what are the ways from which I'm able to get more clients. I want to get more. I want to get 300 leads more this week. Okay, so you ask yourself, so the client is talking about getting leads. Okay, so ask yourself, the client is he's talking about getting more leads. So what do you say? As a consultant, you will immediately say, oh, these are the strategies whereby you can get more leads, right? This is a consultant. From a coaching perspective, you are not giving you are not giving a player the advice. So what do you do? Okay, so then you ask this question. If the objective is to get 300 leads, is this really the thing you want to work on right now? Okay, so the client, the player says, I want to get 300 leads. First of all, is this session appropriate or useful to talk about generating leads? So therefore, you need to go back to what you have discussed with your players in the past, assuming that this is not the first session. Okay, that's why I have my Trello to pen down, to list down all the discussions that I have with the player in the past. I do remember what I've told and what my player has told me as well in the past. You need to have this background check. When the player suddenly talk about 300 leads, may not be or may be appropriate during this particular session. But anyway, it's good for me to ask myself, okay, what exactly are we talking about here? Lease or 300 or combination? I go to this level of thinking, okay, leads, is there a lead problem for the player? Is it 300? Why 300? Why this particular or magic number? Okay, so by asking yourself this question as a coach, then what do you do then? What do you do then? The next thing you do is throw this back to the coachee and then let the coachee say or explain why 300, not 200? Why 300, not 400? Why is he talking about lead generation? So what are you asking? By asking this question, you are actually going back to the coachee's present point. Present point, point A. And see whether in this particular scenario, what is stopping the player from getting what he or she wanted? Okay, and then you can then address, okay, now I know what you're talking about. Maybe because you are talking about you have already got a lead generation mechanism, but it's not working for you. Your lead generation mechanism currently is generating, say, 10 leads. But 10 leads based on your math is not enough. You need 300 in order to break even. Okay, so you have numbers to prove that you need 300. So if this is a lead generation problem, it's not enough leads, then I'll ask the player as a coach, what else have you explored? So notice the way I ask the question. I will not say, hey, forget about this lead generation software, change to another one. Because by saying this, you are a consultant. So remember, as a coach, I don't give advice straight away. I will just ask the question, okay, what is your current lead generation software? Why is it not working for you? So have you explored other lead generation software? Have you done the research? Have you already asked people around who are using other lead generation tool and it works for them? Have you done this work? And if the player said no, there you go. So when the player say no, now this is an accountability moment. Why? Because like what Junxian said, you want the player to find the answer. Because when the player finds the answer by himself, it is very powerful. So stop spoon feed your client when you are a coach. At this point, you will say that, okay, good. I will now thinking about doing something to hold you accountable. Now, I have to admit, using the phrase holding you accountable may be very generic to certain people. So when you are saying to your coach, I'm going to hold you accountable, you've got to be very specific of what you want. So when you are suggesting an accountability moment, I call this accountability moment. Number one, you need to explain what is this accountability about. Okay, so I want you to do this. Go and speak to one of your business colleagues in your circle to find out what lead generation software he is using. I want you to do that. Okay, so there's the what. Go and talk to one business colleague to find out what kind of lead generation tool he is using. So you might say, well, I don't want one. I actually want two or three. So go to talk to three people. or 3 business colleagues who are using lead generation tools, and find out what tools are they using. Okay, so this is one example I can give. The next thing I said is, okay, and after you have spoken to these 3 colleagues, go to the respective website and do the research of these tools. And I want you to do something called comparison. Identify what these tools are about, what are some of the features that tool A has, tool B and C don't have. So make a comparison of these, and then come back and report to me. Do you now then see the power of accountability in this case? Because the accountability is incorporated in this coaching arrangement. I let the player find the answer. But Jack, isn't it too troublesome and time consuming? Because I thought that we should give the coachee everything, giving them the answer so that they can move fast. Well, I agree with you, but remember what is your original arrangement. So that's what I asked Eugene to listen, because that is what is the arrangement that you have. Like Deborah actually said in her arrangement, there are coaching elements, there are consulting elements. So if you do have a coaching and consulting arrangement with this fellow, you may then remove the accountability and give the answer straight away. But remember, I said the biggest problem I see of giving this advice requires one, you have to have the experience. If you are not using certain tools, you can't just anyhow recommend the tools to your players. This is called theory transfer, not knowledge and experience transfer. That's why I said earlier, a coach need not have subject matter expertise when doing business coaching. However, when you're doing business consulting, you do have to have the subject matter expertise, which is going back to my definition. Are you a coach? Are you a consultant? So if you are a coach, you don't have that particular expertise. And when you come to this particular scenario, you may say, but in the first place, I'm not doing lead generation. I don't know all this software. What do I do? Well, you can create an accountability moment and let the player do the research, ask around. And this is basically to train. So why are we doing this? The one reason, the most important reason for doing this is let the player do the work. Why? Because it is a coaching arrangement. And by the player said he or she will do the work. And that is what accountability is about. Because you give your player some assignment and your player said, okay, I will do it. Good, there's agreement. Okay, so when you have an agreement, then what happened? When you have an agreement, it means that the player has to deliver, has to complete the task, by the agreed deadline. Because your accountability has to come into this thing called agreement. And then now the player has no choice but to follow through. Because at the end, your coaching arrangement may be such that if nothing happens, if let's suppose in the worst case scenario, your coaching arrangement, your coachee said, yes, at the beginning, I will do whatever it takes. I will make sure that I will do every single task that you ask me to do. Like, talk is very cheap because it is not worth it. It doesn't work. It's not worth anything. And then along the way, the coachee start giving you excuses. Like I do have coaching clients who were very committed at the beginning. Somehow along the way, the face turn, the action turn, the identity turn, and the behavior turn. And eventually, what they say to me is that I can't do the shit. I cannot do this and that. Okay, so Deborah has kindly give you guys some ideas. So it's called masterclass. Okay, so that is Deborah's arrangement. So let's give Deborah some acknowledgement, please. Send her some love. Okay, if you can, and help me to do this because I still have to continue. So when you have this agreement with the player, coming back to what I said, then you expect the player to deliver the result. And what happens is this: even though the player has generated something and come back to you and say, you know what, I do not like what I have done. What you do? You say, stupid. No, you don't say stupid. You don't put down your client. All you need to say is, okay, good. Okay, wrong. Is this word? Then you can ask this magic question. This is the magic question for a coach. So, okay, so you've done the work, you're not very happy about the result. What did you learn? Z, you're asking another question. What did you learn? Okay, you want to be more specific. What did you learn about yourself in this homework or assignment? What did you learn about yourself in this assignment? And the player would then blah, 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 blah. Okay, the player does all the talking. Okay, so at this juncture, you may then say, okay, good. What else did you learn? You see, being a coach is very fun. All I need to do is just ask the question again. Okay, good. What else did you learn? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, awesome. Okay, I say, good. So every time when the player says something, make sure you acknowledge. And then if you feel that it's enough, you don't want to ask again, then you ask one more question. How does this show up in other areas of your life? And you ask, but this is about lead generation. Why are we talking about how does it show up in other areas of your life? Because it could be a mindset issue. It could be a behavior issue. It could be affecting other areas of his life by him not completing this task to his satisfaction. Who is he? Is he a perfectionist? Do you know? So a perfectionist typically would say that, you know what, no matter what kind of assignments you give me, I will never be satisfied. Okay, good. Awesome. You learn about yourself, you are a perfectionist. How many times in your life do you do something and you shortchange to yourself and say that it's never perfect? Where else does it show up in your life, in your other areas of your life? All you need to do is to help him see and create something called a lesson. Your job is by asking all these questions, you are creating lessons. You're creating lessons for him. You're not creating lessons to him. I say again, you are creating lessons for him. It's for him to come up with this insight, this awareness of lessons. It's not about your lessons. Something I learned about facilitations many years ago, your lesson doesn't matter. Who cares about your lesson? Facilitation is to let your player get the lessons by themselves. And that's going back to what Junxian said. When they get it, this is the power. And then they realize, okay, now I know my pattern. Good. So what are you planning to do? Now you got your lessons. So then what is your action plan? What are you planning to do? You see, this is just a series of questions. I can create an accountability moment for the player to do something. And then that is a test of whether there is agreement. And once the player has done the work, there is feedback. With the feedback, then I can ask a couple of questions to help the player see more that he may not have seen before. So that's why when you have some accountability moment in your coaching, this is how you can draw and pull lessons out. And these lessons are going to be, in my opinion, from my experience, very powerful for your player. So you can see that this is not accountability coaching. Accountability coaching has nothing like this. This is just purely coaching. So for me, in a typical session, 60-minute session, what I'm doing is that I am constantly looking for something called accountability moment. I'm not deliberate. Like I will not say that I'm purposely looking for 3 or 4 accountability moments. Sometimes I may not have any. Sometimes I may say I want 4. Sometimes I will just say I just need 1. Okay, so for example, one of those very important accountability moments that I work with my players would be something like this. Like some of you know that I'm one of the trainers in Video Hero, and Eugene has sat in the class before. And most people are very afraid of doing videos because to them, they don't want to expose themselves to the world. And just happened today on my TikTok, I've got 3 very hardcore stalkers and haters bombarding my TikTok account. So you think that the world doesn't have hater? I have attracted 3 haters today, resulting in me from not talking to them. That's number one. Number two, I had no choice. I don't want to deal with them, so I just decided to block them because I don't want to receive any more negative energy from them. Okay, they are just looking at my account. Whatever I say, they find something to say. So this is the kind of haters that I don't want to entertain. So it happens to me today. So I'm not saying about anything else. So in a typical scenario, I want my player to expose themselves to the world. And what do? I say, okay, can I give you an assignment? So this is what I normally do. Can I give you an assignment? And the player will say, okay, good. Now permission is granted. Go and post a video. Huh? Video? What kind of video? Okay, so then I go through this. So remember, holding someone accountable is very generic definition. So you never, never do this. You need to be very specific. So the assignment is, what is that about? You post 1 video. So you see I'm very specific, 1 video. And then this 1 video will be 5 minutes or less. How specific I am would determine whether the player would want to do it or not. Why? Because if let's say I'm asking the player who hasn't done a video before to do 1 video, and that is 15 minutes long, I confirm that he will not do anything. It must be something that is easy to do, so that we call it like actionable step. A video 5 minutes long may seem to be long. Okay, so then I said, I'll give you more specific instruction. So let's say 1 video 5 minutes long, and I want you to do this. I want you to do is just to say hi. Wow, that's easy. You just turn on camera or turn on the smartphone, press the button and say hi. Yes, hi. My name is. So I'm not teaching anything else. Remember, I just want the person to do a video because the person wants to expose himself to the world. So what do? I just create an assignment just like that. 1 video, less than 5 minutes. And all you need to do is start with saying, hi, my name is. Okay? And then just talk a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself, like as if you have not done this before to any people watching video before. So you are just introducing yourself, just a few lines, where you are from, what do you do. Okay, you see, I'm giving very specific. It's not really a template, yet you need to give them specific, or else confusion will be created and they will resist. Okay, talk a bit about yourself, and then you can talk about your hobby. You can talk about your interest. You see, it's nothing about why you're doing this video. I'm just asking you to do this very simple thing. It's less than 5 minutes. And then, last question. This is good. I would love. So I don't know whether some of you will want to do this. If you haven't done any video before, you may want to do this. This is a very cool one. I would love to be supported by you. So this is how you end the video, with one very simple call to action. I would love to be supported by you. Huh? Why? This call to action is nowhere. It's a no head, no tail. Yep. You know what? By doing this video, being first time exposing yourself to the world, you end with this sentence. It is a powerful sentence, to be supported. How many of you would love to be supported by other people? Well, there you go. Ask for support and you shall receive. So I would love to be supported by you. End of story. Done. Ada, 5 minutes. Okay, so I just go through it one more time. So that's one video, 5 minutes. And my name is, okay, talk a bit about yourself, introduce what is your hobby, what is your interest, blah, blah, blah. And then you end with this sentence. I would love to be supported by you. Done. Is that simple? Okay, good. You say okay, okay. So now we talk about why. I will just reiterate the why to the person, to the player, why we do this. Because earlier you remember you said that one of your biggest challenge is to expose yourself to the whole world. So we got to help you break this fear. I got to do this. I got to do this assignment, or come up with this assignment to help you break the fear. So there's the reason. Okay. So we have a what is this assignment about, and why is that relevant to him? So now is the buy-in. Okay. And all you need is to come up with what we call agreement again. Remember, agreement must have a deadline. No deadline is not agreement. Okay. So now all you need is just to wait for the player to do the video and let you know. And then when the player does it, and all you need to do, I think you should, is go and celebrate crazy with your player. So the self-concept, the self-esteem goes up. How many of you find that this accountability element is pretty cool? So I'm constantly looking for something, little action, tiny little action that can empower the player. And you may find that this is a very stupid. Some of you might find that this video assignment is very stupid. I can just share with you what happened to this player. This is exactly the assignment I gave to this player in Belgium 3 months ago. And today he came back to me and said, Jack, thank you for giving me this challenge. Now I have no fear of doing video. In fact, you shall not ask me to do any more video. I said, why? Why do you not want to do any more video? Because I can do it myself now. Okay, good. So I don't need to hold you accountable anymore. Now you're on autopilot. Awesome. Yeah, because now I have so many things in my head, and I'm able to generate content just like that. Then I said, that's awesome. And I asked the player one more time, do you notice what you have said just now? It's something that you wouldn't have imagined 3 months ago when we first met. 3 months ago, you scheduled that to do even 1 minute video. And now you are telling me this. How much have you grown? See, I'm constantly asking questions. Your assignment need not be very complicated like research paper. You remember the whole idea of accountability moment is to create some actionable step to help the person. Remember, every coaching session, I just have to repeat one more time, is to help the person move through a space which is more positive and more empowering. And that's your objective, that's your outcome for each coaching session. So when you create and design any accountability element, all you need to do is to ask yourself, by doing this, will this support this objective? If it does, every single accountability assignment is a good assignment. I can ask people to do video. Very simple, because most of my business coaches, coaching clients are afraid of doing videos. Somehow this is the kind of players I attract. I got other players who are telling me that, you know what, I don't know how to talk to people. So this is an assignment that I give. So I'm giving you some real assignments that I gave to my players so that you can have a taste of how it looks like. So I worked with another lady who is living in the UK, and she said that I had difficulty in connecting and communicating with strangers. Wow. So for those who are from Unthinkable Mastermind or Video Hero, Virtual Event Hero, does that sound familiar to you? I cannot connect with people. Then all I say to you is this: okay, good. Let me give you something you can do. Are you willing to take up this challenge? Now, sometimes I may use challenge instead of assignment. It depends on the personality of the person. How many of you notice that it's pretty cool when you know your player's personality? So this lady is able to take on challenge. So I've reframed the word assignment as challenge. Are you up for a challenge? Okay, good. Challenge. Okay. This is your challenge. Are you talking to anyone every day? Yeah, of course. Oh, okay, good. So this challenge, water, this challenge is about you go and look at your contact list. I mean, everyone has a contact list, right? Do you have one? Yeah, good. All I want you to do is to find 3 people from this contact list. Not Tom, Dick, and Harry. Okay, there is a particular requirement. Okay, people you have not talked with for more than 6 months. People you have not talked with for more than 6 months. Okay, so there's a criterion there. And now all I want you to do is to do this. And Eugene did that too, right? Eugene, I saw you doing this assignment every day, posted on Facebook. Awesome. Good job, brother. So I then said, very simple. All you need to do is just to say hi and do something called catching up. And you are not going to sell them anything. Because, hey, come on, man. Think about it. If you are not contacting this person for more than 6 months, suddenly you give a call to the person and say, hey, I have something to sell you. Is that a bit funny? Is that a bit too much? So all you need to do is to have the empathy of reaching out to someone who have not been connected with 6 months or more, and you just do a catch up. Like in your country, if you are able to meet up physically, by all means. So Eugene meeting 30 people every day. Gee, I didn't ask you to do 30 people, and Eugene did 30 people. And this lady was a bit shy, so she's afraid. So I asked her to do 3. And then I want you to have a deep conversation, truly connected with these people, and then report to me what you have learned. Are you okay with that? Okay. And the reason why, so I always end with the reason. The reason why I ask you to do this is not because of anything else. It's only because you said to me you have difficulty in talking to people. So isn't it true that this assignment allows you to have practice to talk to people? Not people you know and have been talking or interacting frequently. I want you to stretch yourself a little bit, talking to people you have not dealt with for more than 6 months. Up or not? You say, okay, I'll do it. So you see, once you explain the rationale, again, the pattern comes back, agreement. Okay, so agreement. So what you do, the accountability element is set up. So I say that, okay, go and talk to these 3 people this week, come back to me. And all you need to do is to tell me whether you have done it or not done it. Okay, so 1 week later, the lady came back and said, yep, I've done it. Good. So again, you can see what I'm asking. What did you learn? What else did you learn? It's the same sequence because it's the learning. So I say, after all, it's not that bad contacting people where I have not talked to for more than 6 months. It's not that bad. Oh, okay. I don't like the word that bad. So I ask again, what else did you learn? I know I'm able to talk to people. I can do more. I see the lady said, I can do more. Good. So now when you listen to what the lady says, okay, good. So I want you to do it again. I'm holding this. I wait for the learning done. And I will say that, okay, this is an accountability moment. Okay, since you have already done 3, I want you to do again. I want you to do again, again, and again. So every week, talk to 3 people. Just have a catching up. And the whole reason for doing this, because she's living in UK, not London, in UK. So there's the difficulty for her to go out to physically connect with everyone because there's some restriction. There's some movement restriction. So what I asked her to do is, okay, do you realize that once you connect with 3 people, and then indirectly, these people will know someone. These people will know someone. These people will know someone, right? So when you create some bonding, some relationship with these, what happens is that in future, when you need help, You can just reach out to these people and say, do you know someone who knows someone who knows someone? Listen to my languaging one more time. Do you know someone who knows someone who knows someone who need this? So this is how you build a network. Do you know someone who knows someone who knows someone who need this? And I'm setting her up to create the network. So I then ask her to repeat the assignment. So now you go to 3 people again. So from a person working by herself, is it true that in a later time, someone will know someone by creating this spider web effect? That's the intention of the assignment I gave to Eugene. Eugene, do you now realize that this is how you build your spider web? That's the whole intention of this assignment. It's just like talking to 3 people at one time. No big deal. Yeah. There's a big game behind. The big game, the end game is that now this is how you create your network. This is how powerful this exercise is. And the lady said to me, I found my coaching clients because of this. I said, awesome. How did you feel? I'm feeling good. Awesome. See? So now, isn't it true that I have put the client from where she was to a more positive and empowering space? So accountability element, to be short, is a very simple process that you want to design, incorporate in your coaching arrangement. You put the player a very simple task. When I say it's very simple task, that means it's not complex task. However, the task has to have some effect, has to help the player to move to a more empowering space. So this is what I say about accountability moment. Okay? So to sum up what we have gone through so far is the difference between accountability coaching. I start off with accountability coaching, and then I talk about incorporating accountability element in the coaching. So these two things are different. Okay. So I've given you, if you have missed, if you just joined, like Trisha just joined, Stella just joined, Calvin just joined, Gerald just joined. So if you have just joined this, you realize that I've already talked about the accountability coaching that I created 2 years ago, where one can charge $500 to $1,000 a month for just 10 minutes of work a week. So that is something that I came up. So if you love, you can actually use this. Don't worry, you can read me off on that. Not a problem. The only thing I will ask you to do is this. You should actually be very good at spreadsheet, because spreadsheet is a very powerful way to track all these things. Okay, so that is something you may want to consider. Okay, so the next thing they talk about is to incorporate your accountability element in your coaching. I have just explained to you why this is the case. Okay, so if you do miss the Facebook Live, you just join. You may want to watch the replay. It should be about 30-minute mark to 10 o'clock. So that part is pretty important. You want to catch up. And then I've also given you examples of the accountability moments I give to one client of mine in Belgium and one client of mine in the UK. Okay, so the reason why I can come up with this is that I'm paying attention to what my player said. I'm always looking for ways to come up with simple assignment. I always look for something called simple but effective. Efficiency is going fast. Effectiveness is going to the right place fast. So I'm looking for something called effectiveness. That is how I structure my accountability moments. Okay, so I hope that you enjoy what I share with you tonight. And as promised, good. It's only 1 hour and 8 minutes. And that's awesome. I don't need to drag myself up for 2 hours again. So I want you to, first of all, thank you for those who are staying up. 12 people here. You are still here. Thank you. And I would like you to share with me what is one biggest takeaway you have. What is the one biggest takeaway you have in the last 1 hour and 8 minutes of my Facebook Live? If you, however, are watching replay, all I want you to do is to comment #replay. And then also, once you finish the replay, Share with me one lesson, one biggest takeaway, one aha moment you have in the last 1 hour or so. Okay? So with that, that is the end of my Facebook Live for this week. So next week, this is 8th of, okay, next week, today is 2nd. I have a challenge for next week because next week is Singapore's birthday. 9th of August is Singapore's birthday. So it's Singapore's 55th birthday on Sunday. So if I were to do a Facebook Live, I don't know whether Singaporeans would join me. If you are from Singapore, I want to get some feedback from you. I know if you are from Malaysia, your country's birthday is 31st of August. It's not yet happening. However, if you are from Singapore, I want to hear from you. Would you be here on Sunday night, despite the fact that we have to sing the national anthem and the pledge? If you are here, then I'm happy to run the Facebook Live. Okay, and that is just because next Sunday is Singapore's 55th birthday. All right, so I will likely continue my Facebook Live, and I just want all of you to understand that regardless of whether it is Singapore's birthday or not, Sunday night is the night which I can hang out with you guys, whether you are from Singapore, Malaysia, or from United States of America, and some of you are from Europe, by the way. I look forward to seeing you again in our next Facebook Live, tentatively 9th of August at 9 p.m. Singapore Malaysian time, on 9th of August, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard or 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay, so with that, Jack speaking, and that's all for me. Have a good and awesome evening for people in Asia, and good and awesome Sunday for people who are in United States. And I'll see you next week. With that, I'm signing off now, and all good wishes. Bye bye.